Argumentation and Persuasion by Becker. Chapter 13, The Law and Society, a casebook for argumentation persuasion.
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Hold up. You're supposed to be persuading me to want to do what you're speaking about. I'll give you some tips. Argumentation relies on sound reasoning, compelling evidence, and logic to convince readers to agree. Persuasion appeals to the emotions, values, and beliefs of the audience. Some examples as to where you can use this type of writing is when you're conducting interviews, you are a public health official, or when you are writing a letter to the editor. The ultimate goal is to persuade your audience to believe in what you believe, but you need to remember that if you cannot convince them to believe what you believe, you can at least soften their opinions on their beliefs already. I'm sure you've all heard of those sad pet commercials that make you want to instantly change the channel. In this next clip, we'll witness some girls being in touch with their emotions from commercials such as these. Now, let's take a look at what happened here in this situation.
You're losing your best friend! Literally, my dog is my best friend!
Now, we want to tune into our audience's emotions, but we don't want to take it to this extent. This is how to organize. The introduction creates an interest in your essay by maybe explaining why the issue is important, and it also states the thesis. The first body paragraph gives and explains the first points. It may rely on logos, pathos, and/or ethos, raise counter objections, and it also may rely on inductive or deductive reasoning. It can be arranged in progressive order. The next body paragraph just continues all the points to support your assertion. The conclusion reaffirms your assertion or presents your most persuasive points. It can also call your reader to action, and it also restates your thesis. When thinking about ethical issues when writing this, you don't want to manipulate your audience with fear, guilt, duty, or a relationship. Let's take a look at what happens here.
Oh my gosh, Elsie, guess what? What? We're gonna listen to Maroon 5 live.
Oh my god, what are the concert? Oh my gosh!
Just kidding, I only got you the CD.
Now just remember, no one likes to be lied to. These are some tips for planning and drafting this type of writing. You should always think of these questions. Are reasons supporting the assertion backed up with evidence, and is that evidence both appropriate and accurate? Are emotional appeals fair and restrained? Are objections valid and accurately stated? And is the writer's self-characterization accurate? Some tips you want to think about when revising this type of writing are to ask two reliable readers to review your draft to be sure that you have avoided errors in logic and have countered important objections. After all these tips, let's hear her new speech.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war testing. Whether that nation or any nation is conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. we have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this.
Now, doesn't that sound more enthusiastic and persuade you to go on her side?
Argumentation is based on reasoning. Persuasion is tuning in with the emotions. Use this with bargaining, interviews, letters, and actions. If you can't change their mind, you can at least soften them. You don't want to make them blind, so don't lie and make them condemn. Their thoughts and emotions should be changing, like how you feel with bargains. Always remember when planning, think of these questions. Are the reasons supported without limit? Are the emotions not broadened? Is your self-characterization accurate? Are objections valid and stated? Always have readers help you and try to find your errors. Put down what you know is true, and you will become an argumentation and persuasion author.